turn on the wrong burner, and like you're cooking nothing for like 30 minutes straight.
I feel that.
Have you ever done that, Miss Deidre?
Oh, constantly. I don't really have to cook though because Trey cooks. I'm a very lucky lady. And I just suck at it. So
And I love to cook my meat.
yes, Shay loves to eat.
Because I don't know how to do anything without a good slideshow.
We love it.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to turn my slideshow into my school. Thanks, Ashton. You reminded me.
Oh man, all day today, the live chat on YouTube has been, it just says something is wrong. There's a picture of a purple monkey and he has a hammer and a cute little red hat. So if you're just watching on YouTube, I don't have a way to chat with you, but just text me and I'll give you this Zoom link and you can come to the Zoom.
Yes, join the Zoom.
Come to the Zoom.
I can see everybody.
Our beautiful faces.
Or just your name if you don't want to have your face. But so.
Hey, Sierra.
Hey.
My phone thought I was saying, hey, Siri. It's asking me what I...
It does that all the time to everybody.
So desperate for attention. It's like, did you say Siri?
Me and Sierra hung out last night.
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
We were at Ashley's.
Doing my birthday dinner.
Oh,
yeah.
happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I had a birthday lunch and then a birthday dinner.
Nice.
Went to Outback first, and then I went to Ashley's and ate homemade vegetable soup. It was good.
That's a good balance. Okay, Ashton.
Well, let's get started.
Yeah, go ahead, and I'm just gonna send out a few like reminder texts to a few other people who.
Okay. Do you want me to? I mean, I can wait if we're waiting on a few more people to join.
I think go ahead and they can join.
And can everyone see my screen? Okay, awesome. Well, I based my talk today off of a suggestion that someone gave in the survey, which if you're on the Zoom call, you can see the link to the survey. It's the same one in the comments. And yeah, so I'm always open for suggestions. This one is obviously has to do with more personal writing, which I touched on last time, but I'm also open to ideas on, more creative fiction writing or nonfiction. Y'all just let me know what you want to hear. So like I said, based off of a suggestion, talking today about expressing emotion through writing. And this isn't too long of a presentation or anything. And like I said last time, anyone is welcome to, jump in if they have, a question or anything like that, or, if you're not able to comment on the YouTube text or join us here in Zoom. So you can ask any questions you have. First of all, I have about like 5 different tips, the main part of the presentation, just sort of like 5 different tips of ways you can express yourself through writing and express emotion and process emotions through writing. And this is one that I really love, is writing through in the third person. And it's kind of very similar to another thing I'm going to talk about in a minute, as far as writing with a character in mind, instead of, just thinking about writing about yourself, just kind of, writing about a character. And that's honestly a lot of times a good way to express emotion. So writing in the third person, it's good because it gives you some distance, and it can also give you another perspective because you're likely to portray someone else, maybe differently than, you would yourself, because there's that little bit of distance. And so I have some like examples and I'm sorry for any like grammatical errors or anything, because I kind of like wrote these up last minute. I was like, oh, we probably need some examples to go along with this. But yeah, so I've been dealing with like a lot of bad dreams lately. So, you know, I wrote an example of writing that in the third person would be, she woke up in a panic sweat, worried about what tricks today might have up its mischievous sleeves, you know, and that's, you know, an example. Then of course, you know, I have my memes. And then, so another good example would be to like write about a memory you have. You know, I mean, it could be super recent or like, you know, I suggest in the slide, like maybe an emotional high point, you know, good or bad, you know, like the best day you've ever had, or, you know, a time where you felt most afraid or confused or embarrassed or sad or angry. But again, it could also be, you know, a positive emotion. And, you know, just one suggestion, if you're not sure what to pick, you know, you could kind of go through those and write like a couple sentences about each one, and then pick one to write into a scene. So the example I picked says, and again, like you could continue with the third person idea if you want, but I wrote this one because it kind of made me think when I was thinking about all these different emotions. You know, it says, I was terrified and angry, but mostly I felt ashamed. The shame was the tape over my mouth, binding my hands, keeping me from reaching out for help. And you'll notice I'm a big user of metaphors, which also help me personally express emotion when I kind of think of, you know, a metaphor for what I'm feeling. You know, if I can't find the right word, you know, it's like, oh, what am I feeling? Oh, it feels like there's tape over my mouth, you know, like maybe I don't have the right word for that, but a metaphor can always be a good way to express that, even more than like one word could be. Again, always stop if you have any questions. And so another good example, like I said, and you know, the third person is you can also express your emotion through a character. And I didn't really write one completely different than me because I did play track or run track in high school. But it's, you know, it's easier to explain what someone else is feeling sometimes. So you could describe the character, you know, maybe start describing them as someone just like, you know, like completely different than you, and then like describe the emotion, talk about why that they're feeling this way. Like, did something happen, an interaction with someone else, just, you know, something that's been festering inside them. And then, you know, talk about why they're having a hard time with these feelings and what they're doing to cope with it. And, you know, ideally the coping mechanisms would be like positive, but, you know, you can also be truthful if there's something that speaks more to you. And, you know, in light of thinking about a positive coping mechanism, I talked about running, which has always been a way that I cope with my feelings. And so, you know, this is just the example I had. And it should say she had to run. Again, my typos, I did this last minute, but she had to run. What compelled her was not the taste of victory, the fame, the athletic figure she maintained. She had to run from the past. She couldn't stop running until she saw a future worth stopping for. She donned her uniform as if it was a suit of armor. As long as she could continue mile after mile, she knew she could get herself through any course and past any obstacle. Her helplessness was churned with every step into power. And again, with my metaphors, but so that's just an example of like, you know, figuring out a character. And I kind of like latched onto that coping mechanism, which doesn't have to play a part in it necessarily, but, you know, kind of latched onto that and went with the running as an idea. So, and then this is kind of expanding more on that character development, especially if you're like me and you like to write fiction. You know, and what's funny is in a lot of things that I've written fiction wise, I didn't realize till after the fact, which I would argue is true for a lot of authors, even when they don't intend to put themselves in characters, they end up doing so. And like, I've looked back at characters I've written and I've been like, oh man, like I was going through something at that time, like, you know, like working out that tension with my characters. But you know, it's always good to think of like outside of just what, you know, the character is thinking about their feelings, think about like how that shows up even when they don't realize it. Like, you know, what the character observes in others. A lot of times we as people like project what we're feeling. Like sometimes if I'm feeling anxious or insecure, I might think like everyone around me is mad at me, you know, or on my case, when really they're not. That's like me projecting. So think about like how a character might, you know, observe things in others, or even sometimes, you know, things that we don't like about ourselves, you know, we nitpick about others. And then like, you know, what the character senses in his own body, you know, like if you're nervous about something, or if a character's nervous about something, maybe they're like, you know, sweaty, maybe they have like a pit in their stomach, like they don't feel well, you know, and then like what, you know, kind of zooming out, like how do other characters, you know, see that character. And a lot of times, you know, that's a good way to like reveal emotions that we don't even know we have, you know, or the character doesn't even know they have. So kind of thinking outside of that one character's point of view and thinking about how other people, you know, other characters are seeing them is a good way to look at, you know, a character's emotion in this case. And again, I think these are good tips, whether you're just trying to process your own stuff or you're trying to write fiction. And then, so like the fourth way I would say would be, you know, just writing regularly. I mentioned this last time, you know, even if it's just jotting down your feelings, it can help like notice a pattern, you know, a way of thinking. And it could be as simple as taking out a notebook, and, you know, just keeping it simple, writing down the date, the feeling, you know, what that feeling looks like. Again, like, you know, maybe, oh, I'm feeling sad. So what does that feeling look like? I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do my dishes. You know, what does that feel like? It feels like, you know, someone sitting on my chest, like I can't get up, you know, like, and describing it that way. And then, you know, that could lead to seeing a pattern and deeper understanding your own feelings. And again, it could also, if you're looking to write creatively, you know, help you in that respect, as far as like actually expressing, you know, what that feeling feels like and how to depict it. And then I think I have one more. Yeah. You know, this is one that I don't really write kids stuff, but I have some friends who have had like really good luck with, you know, just like writing your emotions in the style of a kid's book. And you'll notice that most kids' books, I don't know the last time you picked up a kid's book, but they always have to deal with some sort of emotion or lesson or something that the character has to get through. And they're always, you know, simple and clear and straightforward. Just think about like, you know, you're trying to explain something to a kid. And it, you know, I've noticed a lot of times they'll use like animal characters. So, you know, my example, I didn't write much, but, you know, I think about, you know, myself, I used to be very like picky with friends, and I realized that it was like actually like me wanting to like distance myself from others before they could like do that to me or like reject me. And so like I just pictured this like elephant walking by themselves and like wanting a walking buddy, but, you know, everyone she met was like not the right fit, you know, and she just found a way to like push the other elephants away, you know, and kind of. So that's, you know, an example. And it can also just be fun. You know, writing kids stories can kind of be fun and simple and steer away from having to feel the need to like use big words or anything. And kind of on the idea of words, the last point I wanted to make, again, feel free to stop me at any point if anyone comments or questions, but, you know, on the idea of words, finding the right word, I think, you know, there's kind of these big category words that we use, And, you know, it's great when we can identify that we're angry. And with me, a lot of times when I'm angry, it's usually because I, you know, am another emotion, honestly, and that's what I'm using to mask it. But, you know, kind of 5 emotions to come to: anger, fear, sadness, disgust, joy, you know, but those are very broad terms. So my kind of like final walk away as far as how to write about emotions would be, and I'm not going to read all these, don't worry, but is to think about, okay, I'm feeling angry. Well, what kind of angry am I feeling? Like, am I feeling annoyed, or am I feeling, you know, bitter about something? Like, am I holding on to something? You know, am I just sort of like mad, you know, and like kind of finding the right word. Or even when you're talking about joy, and, you know, is it like a sense of pride because you like did something that you're proud of, or is it just, you know, that peace and contentment that you feel, you know, like finding that specific word can also help sometimes too. And honestly, I got these through Googling these 5 different emotions. Like if you don't know, like if you're kind of like, well, I'm not sure what the right word is, I mean, you can always Google, and, you know, even if you're not sure, like you're like, oh, okay, like this might be the right word, like, you know, look up a definition, like see how it's used in other books. I mean, a lot of times I, you know, might think I know the word for something, and then like I read another, you know, I read a book where I'm like, wow, like I've never heard this word used this way, and this is, you know, the exact right way to express a feeling that I'm having, you know. So definitely always, you know, if you like writing, always be on the search for a better word. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I had as far as expressing your emotion through writing. Like I said, there's like a short survey, and that was like way quicker than I thought it would be, probably because I talked fast. So does anyone who is on our Zoom call, because I think the chat on Zoom is sadly not working, but does anyone on the Zoom call have any question, comments, anything you'd like to share on this topic, or a topic you'd want to hear about in the future?
I think I'm the one that suggested this one, and like, yeah.
Was that helpful at all, or was,
Yeah.
you know, that on the right path?
Yeah. The only thing is I'm the same way with you. I don't think I could write a children's book. I'm too, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, so, but that helps. I actually, most of my music, most of my writing is written like emotionally and about emotions, and kind of ways to overcome it, honestly. Like I was telling people yesterday at my birthday lunch, like my ultimate dream is to take a whole bunch of like writings that I've everything that I've ever wrote, not like a necessarily like a full book of like something going on, but like different writings and having books, and like not I don't personally I don't want to have to sell the book. I want to give it to people so they have something to understand and like go like know that like if they're going through something they could read it, you know. Like I don't want to have to be one of them people that are like, oh, you have to pay $20.99 to buy my book, you know. Like I want to be one of them that like gives my book out and like becomes like inspirational speaker and writer and stuff. So I don't know if that made sense or not.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's, I mean, that's something else, you know, I thought about. I don't know what, since I, you know, this is only the second time, you know, I've done this, didn't know what exactly everyone wanted to hear about. And, you know, I can talk on different topics about writing personally, but, you know, as someone who writes for a living and everything, I can definitely also talk about, as far as, you know, if anyone is interested in getting their work published, or, you know, anything about writing for an audience, you know, I could definitely talk to that stuff too.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I would kind of want to know kind of how to like go about the process of being able to like write a book and getting it published and how to get it out there like that. I think that'd be kind of interesting to know, because of course I'm going to want to know that one day and need to know it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I, you know, I guess I didn't really like properly introduce myself this time. Last time I did, but I'm a reporter, and so obviously it's a little bit different than being an author. But I also know a few published authors in Arkansas, and so could always try to get some advice from them or try to get them to come on one Wednesday, kind of talk about that process. And of course, if you're not really looking to sell a bunch of copies or anything like that, there's always like self-publishing options as well.
Mhm.
But
Also, could you post your email?
oh yeah, for sure. In the comment section. I'll just do that in the chat.
Cool. Well, I had a few things that I wanted to just say. First of all, your examples in that PowerPoint were awesome. I think that really helped me like kind of get an idea of what you were talking about. And a lot of that reminded me a lot of like therapy stuff. I know a lot of you guys probably felt the same as I did when I was hearing a lot of that, like that processing stuff that you can do through writing. That's like really important to us when we're tending to our mental health and such.
Yeah, because I think every time you smiled, I smiled because I was probably thinking the same exact thing you were thinking.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we've heard this. We've heard this before.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
did this.
Yeah, well, especially when it comes to, personal writing. I mean, yeah, I think like a lot of that comes from, it is therapeutic. And I think just to get personal for a second, I think I started writing largely as a coping mechanism before I even realized it. I started making up stories at a very young age, writing them down and stuff. But also as someone who has like personally gone to therapy and is an advocate for anyone, whether you have a diagnosable mental illness or just some stuff you need to work through or whatever, like I advocate to my friends all the time, like, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it also probably stems from those coping mechanisms, especially just the columns about writing, just a day and a feeling down and like what it, that feeling actually, feels like or whatever. So yeah, there's definitely a therapy aspect to it, but yeah, even if you're writing fiction, like I said, I think a lot of people great authors, I think that they put a lot of themselves into stories,
Yeah, they're working some stuff out with their stories.
Yeah, because I use writing as a coping mechanism, and there's so many people at Immerse that I'll be like, "Oh, I'm not doing so good," and they're like, "Have you written yet?" I think it was even
Get
done
your
that
journal out.
too.
Yeah.
Quite funny. Everybody's like, "I'm Miss Deidre." My coaches, they'll be like, "Have you written yet?" And I'm like, "No." Right.
I was gonna ask one more thing. Can we get those slides? Like maybe you can send me that PowerPoint.
Oh yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
like going through
Yeah, I was taking
those.
pictures of it as you were going through.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and I was gonna say, if any one of those, I think had like 5 different things spoke to you. I mean, it's always good to, try them all if you want, but maybe just start with one that spoke to you, and kind of work from there. But yeah, I'll send those your way and you can get them out to anyone who wants them.
Is it okay to angry write? Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh, for sure. Like, okay, so I am not a therapist. I cannot speak to the healthiness of a coping mechanism. But when I was younger, I've always struggled with anger. And I would just write these like really angry, I do the same thing actually with Facebook posts now where I don't ever post it, but I'll write it as if I'm going to post it. Like, not on Facebook because I might accidentally share, but like on a separate thing. But anyways, I used to write like angry letters by hand, and then I would like tear them up or, burn them in a safe place where it's okay to burn things. Just throwing that out there. But, and it was like, it felt like relieving, I got it all out there and then I got rid of it, and, that's not always healthy. Sometimes you do need to talk to people, but there's also sometimes where you just need to rant, even if just in writing. So yeah, I would say angry writing definitely a good coping mechanism.
Yeah, because I angry write a lot, and sometimes I like tend to send some things to people, and like sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just writing on my phone, like typing, and everybody's like, "Are you okay?" Because like I'm just steadily like typing and typing and typing and typing, like
Yeah.
basically going off on nobody but in a writing.
Well, and I would say this too, actually, I did this really recently, because yeah, I still angry write. Like I said earlier in the presentation, sometimes anger is masking a deeper emotion. I think especially, I don't know, I think this a lot of times is especially true for men, but I mean, as a woman, I can say it's also true for a lot of women as far as, you know, not feeling like other emotions can feel more vulnerable, right? And anger has this like power to it. And so sometimes anger is actually masking a different emotion. And like, I don't know, I was like angry at my boyfriend the other day. And so, you know, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to say. So I started writing and I realized that like, it wasn't really anger at him. It was like some insecurities I was feeling. And once I could pinpoint why I was feeling that way, then I went to talk to him about it, you know, like, and I actually had a firmer, like I had a better idea of like what I was actually feeling, you know, so I could like go in with more of what I felt was like my truth.
Yeah, I think
Of
like
the
a lot of
situation.
my anger masking is like over like a lot of disappointment. Like when I have disappointment in somebody else or even in myself, and it just kind of builds into anger. And so
Yeah.
I take it out. I mean, like anger and disappointment is the same thing, but not the same thing at the same time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can be disappointed in somebody and then you can be angry at somebody. And so
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes, you know, with disappointment, like,
you're hurt.
yeah, exactly. You're hurt because you gave a little bit of room to someone and they fell through. And it, again, like anger can be more powerful, like make you like a false sense of power, you know, where disappointment can have a little bit of that hurt feeling to it. But yeah, again, writing can definitely help kind of suss out like what's actually going on sometimes. But yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay. Well, any closing words? Do you guys hear Scrappy? She's really upset that she's not a part of this.
I want to see Scrappy. I haven't seen her in
I
forever.
know.
Oh my
There
God,
she
Scrappy.
is.
Oh my goodness. Hi,
She's the
Scrappy.
same old girl.
Did you see those pictures I sent you of me and Scrappy?
Today?
A while back.
Oh, well, yeah, I probably did. But I don't remember right now.
Last week, actually. But
I'll check.
yeah, I'm still eating grapes. I need to put them away.
Put them away. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This was great. I'll send out Ashton's PowerPoint for anyone that wants to do those exercises. I know I will. I was really excited about some of those. So it was good to see all of you. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place. And we hope that we will see you all again. So have a great
Thank you,
night,
Ashton.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you all for joining. Let me know what you want to hear.
Bye, everybody.
Have a
Bye.
good week.